Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is June 20th, 2024. Today is the day of the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, when the sun is at its maximum height, and the sun stops still, and we reflect on the last 6 months with the last winter solstice that occurred here in the Northern Hemisphere, what we've been working on our goals since that time, and the season ahead, the next 6 months ahead, and the summer season ahead. This is a time to assess what you want the next few months to be, the summer season. This is when the sun enters the cardinal water sign of Cancer. Now, in the southern hemisphere, this is the shortest day of the year and the longest night. And in the northern hemisphere, it is the longest day and the shortest night. Both are reflective of what the season is ahead. And Cancer is a cardinal water sign. It's the first water sign of the zodiac. Cardinal signs launch seasons, and they're action oriented. But Cancer is a sign that likes to relax. It's very home oriented. It's about your comfort, your needs, your security. It's about spending time with loved ones, with friends that you consider family. And with this solstice chart, we just had a whole lot of Gemini in the month of May through June. And I forget that Jupiter has been in Gemini less than a month. It entered Gemini on May 25th. It is the grand benefic. It expands whatever it comes into contact with. It's technically in its detriment because Jupiter rules the opposite sign of Sagittarius, but it's still positive in whatever sign it's in. And in Gemini, it centers on expanding through learning and socializing, getting involved in local activities, your local environment, small businesses, fairs, festivals, things like that. It's very much about bouncing ideas off other people in a very interactive and accessible way. But we had Mercury and Venus and the Sun and Jupiter. We had a new moon on the 6th of June, and that was just too much for me. And I remember one day I emailed myself late at night 4 different things to remember, all within a minute of one another. The next day, I didn't even have an idea what I was thinking of or talking about, but I had all these ideas rushing in. It was a little too much. Now we are in Cancer season. We still have Jupiter in Gemini through June 9th of next year. So we're still expanding through learning and connecting and getting involved socially. But this is a time that's saying it's just too much, too many thoughts, too many emails to yourself to remind yourself of what you have to do, and the next day saying, what was I thinking? Because I don't even know what that means. Or it could be that you're excited to dive into taking new classes, getting involved more locally, but you don't have to feel pressure to do it all at once. Saturn is slowing down in the sky. Saturn retrogrades on June 29th. We don't quite feel the buildup yet, but it's close enough. It's not getting farther than 19 degrees. And when we had the new moon in Gemini on June 6th, that new moon squared Saturn, saying there are a lot of great ideas and choices. Gemini represents choices. There's a lot of air in the sky, which is good too. We have Pluto in Aquarius. It's going to dip back into Capricorn. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Jupiter, trined Pluto, which is a very positive angle. And then every personal planet that entered Gemini in May and June went on to trine Pluto, bringing an empowerment through learning and communication and really, learning in infinite ways, which is exciting. But Aquarius can be very alienating. It rules technology, space, aviation, all of those things. Gemini, again, is more accessible, but it can be where you're going back and forth, like my cats late at night with bottle caps, okay? You don't want your mind to do that, especially when it's 2 in the morning. We had Venus enter the sign of Cancer early on the morning of the 17th. And then Mercury, which is communication, also entered Gemini. And we had Mercury square Neptune before it entered Cancer, reminding us again that there are a lot of things that seem elusive. Neptune is also slowing down. It is at the final degree of the zodiac. There are 30 degrees to a sign, and there are 12 signs. Pisces is the final sign. Neptune will retrograde on July 2nd at 29 degrees and 56 minutes of Pisces, and that is 3 minutes away. Pardon, 3 minutes away from the final degree and minute of the zodiac. And it's also a fixed star known as Shiat, which is connected with self-undoing, with suicide, depression, and addiction. And it's a reminder to all of us that there are a lot of great resources intellectually. That is our biggest resource, with Pluto in Aquarius the next 19 years. Jupiter is in Gemini for the next year, but forming a beautiful angle to Pluto in its ingress, in its entrance into Gemini. We have Uranus entering Gemini next, I believe next July, next summer, which is also an air sign. A lot of air, a lot of opportunity to learn and connect, but the Pisces story is very dominant. In fact, to me, it's the most dominant thing right now. Neptune remains at the last degree of Pisces through September 4th, and it will be there on and off through next year. And it has not been here for approximately 164 years. That's a long time. Saturn and Neptune are both co-present in Pisces, which has not happened since 1848. They'll inch up closer in the sky next spring. They will both briefly enter Aries next year, and then they'll return to the late degrees of Pisces. But with that said, they are going to eventually meet up at the world point at 0 degrees of Aries. That's the first degree of the zodiac on February 15th of 2026. Right now, we're seeing many structures dissolve in our lives. We've got a full moon in Capricorn. I haven't even said that yet. That's happening on June 21st at 9:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This full moon in Capricorn forms an inconjunct. It's inconjunct Pluto in Aquarius, just like the solstice sun, the sun at 0 degrees of Cancer, is basically inconjunct. The next day it'll be exactly inconjunct. There's a readjustment to get your needs met, to get your security. The sun, Mercury, and Venus are all in Cancer, focusing on self-care and love, curling up with a book under the covers, eating a good meal, binge watching a great new series or an old series on Netflix, and just relaxing a little bit. There are 2 full moons in Capricorn. The first one is tomorrow, and again at 9:08 p.m., just a degree off from the world axis at 1 degree and 7 minutes of Capricorn, in opposition to Venus and the Sun in Cancer, Mercury at a wider orb, but focusing on goals for sure. That's a big theme, but also how do we find balance? Saturn and Neptune are slowing down. We feel the station of Saturn as close as June 24th. We feel it 5 days before, 5 days after, feeling tired, feeling pressured. Then Neptune retrogrades on July 2nd. We feel that at the end of June and the beginning of July, feeling spacey, feeling dreamy, feeling exhausted. For some, feeling like they have no hope. Again, more reason to check in with people. Neptune at the last degree of Pisces is no joke, and it's going to remain at this degree again through the beginning of September, and it's not leaving there yet. And that is the wisdom, the lessons, the trials, and tribulations of all the preceding signs. So there's a heaviness, but yet there is a reminder. Get rest. Do manifesting, journal, chant, sing. If you aren't feeling too anxious, go meet a friend for a cup of coffee. Well, Coffee can make you, how about chamomile tea? Or go to a local workshop to learn about crystals or tarot or manifestation. Go to a local new restaurant and meet up with some friends. If you're feeling more depressed and alienated, take it easy. Read a great new book. Read something, enjoy, take it easy. Focus on self-care. Manifestation is really big because Pisces connects to the subconscious mind. We have Neptune, which rules dreams and is the modern ruler of Pisces. In the sign it rules. Doesn't get better than that for connecting to dreams, but it doesn't get more challenging than that in terms of believing they're possible. What a fine line. And then the joke's on us with Saturn and Pisces because Saturn rules Capricorn, these two full moons. Capricorns know if they don't do what they're meant to be doing, it rears its head. If they do what they're meant to be doing, it takes a long time. They get acknowledged. They recognize it just doesn't get handed to them. Pisces may want it to be handed in a, somebody in a chariot. It doesn't work like that. But, it's a very sensitive, vulnerable sign, but this could be really creative magic. Also remember, Alcoholics Anonymous was founded during 1935 when Saturn was in Pisces, during a very desperate time in history when many people had very little resources. And one of the main co-founders, Bill Wilson, was on Wall Street. He had been in finance. He'd already lost everything due to his drinking. Now we were into the Depression, 6 years into it, still was making no money. The 12 steps, Pisces is the 12th sign, helping somebody worse off than you, having a sense of humility and lack of ego, surrendering because there's some things you cannot control. Saturn would be control. Pisces is good luck to you. It's boundless. A higher power, whatever that means. It's obviously almost 100 years ago. Traditional religion is not as popular, but spirituality is in many forms, obviously. This is a big time. Get some rest. Neptune's at the last degree. A lot of people are going to really need time to relax and rest. The Gemini thing was, exciting. I'm excited to learn, but I was in many different directions. I actually like Mercury and Venus in Cancer. Venus likes being in Cancer. It's very comfortable and lovely. Mercury loves being in Gemini, but it had us all spinning around like my cats. Good luck. Happy solstice. We've got the full moon tomorrow. Speaking back to when Pluto initially entered Capricorn in 08 and 09, when we began the Pluto and Capricorn story, which can be, 15 to 20 years, Pluto's in a sign, depending, because its orbit's kind of funny. But it's going to finally leave Capricorn on November 19th of this year. So that's a date to remember. But Pluto does dip back into Capricorn from September 1st through November 19th. And that is the degree of the full moon. The second full moon we have is on July 21st. That will be at 29 degrees of Capricorn, not Pisces, reinforcing the idea that we are letting go of old things that are no longer serving us. Neptune at the last degree of the zodiac is also underscoring the fact that there are endings, things that need to be released. But Pluto leaving Capricorn and entering the cerebral, intellectual air sign of Aquarius, which also deals with alternative ways of thinking and alternative modalities and such. And then the Pisces theme, which is about suspension of disbelief. This is not Capricornian. This is not rigid. Let's get out there and let's try to create magic and take care of ourselves.